The desert sun scorched the earth, turning the air into a shimmering haze that clung to the horizon. At the edge of a classified military Blacksites, hidden deep in Nevada's desolate expanse, a lone figure stepped out of a dusty Humvee. Her boots crunched against the gravel, each step deliberate, heavy with purpose. Staff Sergeant Elena Voss, her face partially obscured by a faded cap, carried a duffel bag slung over one shoulder. Her eyes, sharp and unyielding, scanned the perimeter. The soldiers at the gates irked, their gazes lingering on the jagged scars that crisscrossed her left cheek and neck, visible even in the harsh light. "Freak shows here," one muttered, loud enough for her to hear. Elena didn't flinch. She'd heard worse. But inside, a fire simmered, a fire forged in blood and battle. This is the story of a woman mocked for her scars, only for the truth of her legend to shout at those who underestimated her. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and join us for a journey into courage, betrayal, and redemption, because this tale will grip you to the very end. Elena Voss wasn't just another soldier. At 34, she was a ghost in the military world, her file sealed tighter than a nuclear warhead. The Blacksites, a clandestine outpost known only as Site 17, was a place where secrets were buried deeper than the graves of those who dared to cross its boundaries. It was a hub for covert-ops, interrogations, and experiments that never saw the light of day. Elena's arrival stirred whispers among the ranks. The younger soldiers, cocky and green, saw her scars and assumed she was a washed-up desk jockey, maybe a clerk who'd caught shrapnel from a bomb she had no business being near. "What's with the face, Sarge?" one private sneered as she passed the mess hall. "Get too close to a blender." The others laughed, their voices echoing off the concrete walls. Elena kept walking, her jaw tight, her silence louder than their taunts. She wasn't here to make friends. She was here on orders that came straight from the Pentagon, though no one at Site 17 knew it yet. The Blacksites operated like a small city, its rhythm dictated by discipline and paranoia. Guards patrolled with M4s slung across their chests, their eyes darting to every shadow. Scientists in lab coats scurried between fortified buildings, their faces pale from too many hours underground. And then there was General Marcus Holt, the man who ruled Site 17 with an iron fist. Holt was a legend in his own right, a decorated officer with a chest full of medals and a reputation for breaking anyone who crossed him. At 52, he was a towering figure, his buzzed hair graying at the temples, his voice a low growl that could silence a room. When Elena reported to his office that first day, Holt barely looked up from his desk. "Voss," he said, his tone clipped, "you're here to observe and report. Keep your head down, and don't get in my way." His eyes flicked to her scars, and for a moment, something like pity or disgust flashed across his face. Elena nodded, her expression unreadable. She wasn't here to impress him. She was here to uncover the truth. The truth was a dangerous thing at Site 17. Rumors swirled among the enlisted MENA, whispers of classified project gone wrong, of soldiers disappearing after night patrols, of screams echoing from the lower levels of the facility. Elena had been briefed, but only in fragments. Project Obsidian, they called it, a weapons program so black it didn't exist on paper. Her mission was to assess the site's security and report any irregularities to her handler at the Pentagon. But as she settled into her bunk that first night, the weight of the place pressed against her chest. The air felt wrong, thick, heavy, like the walls were watching. She traced the scars on her face with her fingertips, remembering the firefight in Kandahar that had left her for dead. She'd survived then, against all odds. She'd survive this too. Days turned into weeks, and the taunts didn't stop. The soldiers called her Scarface behind her back, sometimes to her face. They mocked her quiet demeanor, her refusal to join their card games or share a drink. "What's the matter, Voss?" a corporal named Reynolds jeered one evening in the rec room. "Too good for us? Or just too broken?" The room fell silent, eyes on Elena. She was sitting alone, cleaning her sidearm with methodical precision. Without looking up, she said, "Keep talking, Reynolds. It'll make it easier to remember your name when I bury you." The room erupted in laughter, but it was nervous, uncertain. There was something about her, something in the way she moved, the way her eyes seemed to see through people, that made even the boldest soldiers uneasy. Elena's days were spent observing, cataloging every detail of Site 17. She noted the guards' patrol patterns, the scientists' hurried glances, the way certain doors were always locked, even to senior officers. At night, she pored over encrypted files on her secure tablet, piecing together fragments of Project Obsidian. It wasn't just a weapons program, it was something bigger, something that made her skin crawl. References to biological augmentation and neural overrides appeared in the data, alongside casualty reports that didn't add up. Soldiers listed as Kia, but no bodies recovered. Equipment logs showing shipments of materials that didn't exist in any standard military inventory. And then there was the footage of grainy security clips she wasn't supposed to have access to, showing figures moving in the dark, their limbs jerking unnaturally, their eyes glowing with an eerie light. One night, Elena slipped into the lower levels of the facility, using a stolen keycard she'd lifted from a careless technician. The corridors were cold, the air staled, and the hum of machinery vibrated through the walls. She moved like a shadow, her training kicking in years of covert ops in places the world didn't know existed. She reached a sealed lab, its door marked with the biohazard symbol. Inside, she found vials of a shimmering black liquid, labeled only with serial numbers. A computer terminal flickered in the corner, its screen displaying a live feed of a containment chamber. And there, strapped to a table, was a soldier, or what used to be a soldier. His skin was paled, his veins pulsing with that same black liquid. His eyes locked onto the camera, unblinking, and Elena felt a chill run down her spine. She didn't know what Project Obsidian was, but it wasn't human. The next morning, General Holt summoned her to his office. His face was a mask of fury. "You've been poking around where you don't belong, Voss," he growled, slamming a fist on his desk. "You think you can waltz in here with your scars and your secrets and undermine my command?" Elena stood at attention, her expression calm. "I'm following orders, sir," she said. "Whose orders?" Holt snapped. "Because they sure as hell aren't mine." He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "I know about you, Voss. I pulled your file." "Kandahar, Mosul, Fallujah. You're a ghost, aren't you? A legend who shouldn't be alive." "But legends don't last long here." Elena met his gaze, unflinching. "Neither do secrets," she replied. The tension at Site 17 was a powder keg, and Elena's presence was the spark. The soldiers' taunts grew bolder, their resentment fueled by Holt's obvious disdain for her. One night, Reynolds and a group of his buddies cornered her in the motor pool, their faces twisted with malice. "Time to teach Scarface a lesson," Reynolds sneered, cracking his knuckles. Elena didn't move, didn't blink. "You sure about this?" she asked, her voice low, almost amused. Reynolds swung, but she was faster, much faster. In a blur of the motion, she disarmed him, twisted his arm behind his back, and slammed him to the ground. The others froze, their bravado evaporating. "Next time," she said, her voice cold as steel, "I won't be so gentle." Word of the incident spread like wildfire, and the whispers about her changed. Who was she, really? Why was she here? Elena's investigation deepened, each discovery more horrifying than the last. Project Obsidian wasn't just a weapon, it was a program to create super soldiers, fusing human DNA with an alien compound recovered from a crash site in the 1980s. The black liquid was alive, sentient, and it didn't just enhance its hosts up, it controlled them. The missing soldiers, the screams, the glowing eyes, it all pointed to one truth: Site 17 was a testing ground, and the test subjects were expendable. Elena's handler at the Pentagon confirmed her worst fears. Holt was in on it, profiting from the program while covering up its failures. But there was a bigger problem. The compound was unstable, and the test subjects were breaking free. The breaking point came during a routine patrol. A containment breach triggered alarms across the Blacksites, and chaos erupted. The enhanced soldiers and monsters now tore through the facility, their bodies warped, their minds gone. Bullets barely slowed them down. Elena found herself in the thick of it, fighting alongside the same soldiers who'd mocked her. Reynolds, bloodied and terrified, handed her a rifle. "You know how to use this, Scarface?" he asked, his voice trembling. She nodded, her scars catching the flickering light of the emergency sirens. "Stay close," she said, and for the first time, he listened. The battle was brutal, a nightmare of blood and shadow. Elena moved like a force of nature, her training honed by years of surviving the unsurvivable. She led a squad through the lower levels, cutting down the creatures with precision and ferocity. But the real fight was yet to come. In the heart of the facility, she found Holt, standing over a control panel, his face pale. "It's over, General," she said, her weapon trained on him. "You can't contain this." Holt laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "You think you can stop it, Voss? You're just a scarred-up relic-playing hero." He reached for a switch, one that would detonate the facility and erase all evidence of Project Obsidian. Elena didn't hesitate. She fired, and Holt collapsed, his hand inches from the button. In the aftermath, Site 17 was locked down, its secrets buried under layers of red tape. Elena's report to the Pentagon triggered a full investigation, and Project Obsidian was shut down for now. The soldiers who'd survived told stories of the scarred woman who'd saved them, their taunts replaced by awe. Reynolds, his arm in a sling, approached her as she packed her duffel bag. "I was wrong about you," he said, his voice soft. "We all were." Elena looked at him, her scars no longer a mark of shame but a badge of survival. "Legends don't need your approval," she said, and walked away. As the sun set over the desert, Elena climbed into a Humvee, her mission complete but her war far from over. She'd faced death before, and she'd face it again. But for now, she drove into the horizon, a ghost once more, leaving behind the Blacksites that would never forget her name. And so, we end this tale of courage and redemption, of a woman who turned mockery into myth. From which part of the country are you watching this video? Drop it in the comments below, and let's keep the story alive.